So if Algorand keeps publishing these video case studies, we're going to keep reviewing them. Welcome to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Wade Teamer. I've been in this space since 2019. I've researched over 1,000 digital assets, and I only run this channel to share all of that information with you. It is a lot. All I ask in return is you hit that like button, but please don't do it for me. Do it for crypto. And you can do it for Algorand as well. If you didn't get a chance to watch our last episode where we broke down one of these video case studies, what I'm going to do is share with you the footage, the content that the Algorand Foundation has been publishing recently. And that is another trend that I'm starting to see here. A lot of these assets are now starting to leverage the power of YouTube because they realized there were so many crazies on X and they weren't making any money. I have to respect that decision. It's a very smart decision. And that's going to benefit us for the fact that we now get to see the real world impact of the digital assets that we invest in, like an Algorand. Now, this first video case study, you may be familiar with this name, these group of gentlemen, these entourage looking guys here. They represent Folks Finance. Now, Folks Finance is a prominent DeFi platform on Algorand, and they have made some dramatic improvements since I first discovered them personally in 2021. We have another case study too as well, centered around a company called URECA that's been running on Algorand since 2022. It is a climate discussion, so we'll save that a little bit. But let's start with Folks Finance here.
I would walk around Milan thinking what should be the name of the protocol. I always considered Algorand the chain for the people because of low fees of transaction. I just thought, why not the finance for the people, so Folks Finance. So Folks Finance is the largest DeFi app on Algorand. We started as a lending protocol and we kept building and adding tools to the protocol. So as today is a DeFi hub, which offers the most important primitives of DeFi. We have lending, liquid staking, swaps, leverage trading, leverage liquid staking, and on-off ramp. We felt that DeFi was lacking many things, and we tried to improve those slowly. One of those was to have multiple tools in one hub, so that you don't need to learn different UX in different protocols, but rather learn one and do everything in one place. The user journey is much simpler.
DeFi offer users the ability to use financial tools without relying on centralized services. We are among the first protocol that are offering the tokenized version of gold and silver. So this is like the mainly use cases for users that join Folks Finance for the first time.
You are using value, you are using assets that are worth value, so you don't want to have something that it can risk to fail.
We built our academy because we want to explain people how to use their money. People is not used to own and control their money. This is probably the first time that they can realize how to make money work for them.
We don't realize how difficult in other countries it might be to access money in general. In traditional finance, if you want to do a bank transfer, quite simple. You have to wait for a confirmation of your bank, the bank who is receiving the money. With such a technology, we can completely bring to zero in terms of efficiency, costs, and also time of waiting. No?
You need to consider that DeFi is mirroring what is traditional finance in a sense. Building DeFi app on Algorand is very efficient, especially for the user experience. Since having the instant finality and you always know that the transaction is going through, and it allows to have apps that are very easy to use and in a sense programmable and always efficient. You can imagine how important this could be for a DeFi app.
I think Algorand will have a bright future. There are many good people also from a human perspective. This is the thing that I like the most about Algorand. Besides all the advantages that you can have from the technology, because using Algorand it means that you will have an efficient user experience.
I just realized I keep forgetting that head of research is an actual paid position. Anybody want to hire your boy as head of research? Reach out, let me know. But this is Folks Finance, man, and like I said, they've been in the space for a number of years. The biggest DeFi protocol on Algorand for sure. definitely by users. And DeFi at its core has not changed much since I got into space. If you're unfamiliar with the term DeFi, it's simply decentralized finance. So everything, the goal is at least, everything that you're able to do with a traditional bank account with your traditional US dollars, you can do in one of these DeFi suites with one of these DeFi applications. You can also make use of stable coins, other assets. As you can see here, this is fairly new to me, but I'm glad to see that Flex Finance created this X chain, which now exports their services over to other chains. As you can see, Ethereum, Avalanche, Optimism, Base, Binance. So that's very good to see. At its core, though, not much has changed from that original value proposition to provide a decentralized version of traditional financial services. And I know a lot of us like to look at the investors. I'll scroll down so you can see that here. But the point is, guys, with Folks Finance, they're really an OG at what they're doing. So it was no surprise to see them as one of the video case studies that got mentioned. And if you want to dig into Folks Finance, if you want to make use of it, let's jump over to the platform here, give you an idea of what it looks like. You connect your wallet, standard DeFi or Algorand wallet. Para would be my recommendation. I actually need to set up a new one for myself. I lost my phrases. I lost my seed phrase, man. It happens to the best of us, right? But here's a look at the platform. And like I keep mentioning, not much has changed. Listen, when I first got into this space, DeFi was everything, everywhere for everyone. You'll see these APY and APR rates. It was also how I learned what that was for the very first time, annual percentage yield or versus annual percentage return. There is a significant difference, very much so. But the numbers were much higher back in the day. There's a story about a project called Wonderland and their time token. They were offering people 400 to 500 APY in 30 days. No. You can't put in $50 into anything and get back $500 in 30 days. Maybe crypto. But even still, at that time, it was not logical, is the point I'm getting at. But here's Folks Finance, guys. And something else that they brought up was the fact that they're one of the first protocols to implement gold and silver. So we've been talking a lot about the tokenization of real metals, raw metals, things like that, gold, silver, copper, more recently. Oh, don't worry, I found an interesting connection we're going to dive into. But Mailed is the company that are issuing these tokens. We're going to jump to the next case study just to get it out of the way, but we're going to double back because I have to show you what the next tokenized project that they're working on. It's another metal. The thing is, the metal that they're tokenizing next, there's a map that I showed you guys this week in association with Algorand and a certain metal that it was supposed to be backed by. Just leave it at that. Now, let's hop over to this next case study really quick, guys. This is URECA.
URECA means Universal Renewable Energy Certificate Accreditor. Also, it's URECA, We build technologies to restore trust in the carbon market, as well as build technology-based, by technology I mean AI, blockchain-based verification systems for emission reduction projects.
Real quick, that's something else that I'm noticing as well. They're associating AI and blockchain. When you look at it in mainstream, they're trying to pair those two. That's going to be good for us.
In the world, building a fully transparent, fully automated system, which is driven by a blockchain and also some machine learning algorithms, we can really build a trust on the carbon market in which we can bring more private sector involvement to invest in this sort of projects. And also, individuals can go through our platform in which they can purchase carbon credit to offset their emissions.
Our vision is to build these plug-and-play systems where any carbon project in the world can use our verification system.
Let's say we build a large-scale wind power plant in China or some developing countries, and then usually someone comes in every year, look at the wind power plants, whether that power plant is still there. They take a written down note how much power it generated, and then it was become this one document in which we rely on CO2 emission reduction. And it's very costly. Usually people fly from different countries. The way we are changing that is, one, we wanted to make it fully automated, and then we write down in a transaction on a blockchain. So we want to back up that claim with the primary observation that the impact that it's delivering on the ground can be tracked.
If we can bring in technology and climate financing, carbon financing, and with power of machine learning, blockchain, we believe we can transform lives.
Before, there is no technology or methodology in which allow household level verification and monitoring. So usually the way it used to done is, let's say I have a fuel switch project. I changed my cook stove with something more efficient so I can claim CO2 reduction on that project. Now with our IoT sensor, every household, every 5 minutes, with the data collection process, we can monitor if one household burned any coal, two, how much renewable energy they used and produced, etc. The carbon credit generated by this household can be shared with the household as an income to them. The sale of carbon credits goes back to the household, and then they can actually benefit from having a better behavior in terms of transitioning into renewable energy.
We will be able to, just from Mongolia, reduce 3 to 5 million tons of emission. Staying warm at -40 is a big challenge, right? So what happens is basically we insulate their yurts. We put small 3 to 4 kilowatt solar systems, battery pack, electric heat storage, and we put in our sensors. These families will be able to start having their emission reduction for not burning coal, have their emission reduction verified continuously. Through technology, they will be able to finance their fuel switch because it's not that cheap, right?
And I think climate financing could be a very powerful tool in terms of making the low-income families transition to renewable energy. Where blockchain comes in is we want to restore trust.
We want to make this whole process fully autonomous, end-to-end, so there's no meddling in between. And if we can achieve that, and then if we can scale the project to 100,000, 200,000 families, I think the impact is going to be massive.
The reason I very like Algorand blockchain is because that there's a huge community there. The technology, the libraries are easy to use. The transaction speed is extremely fast compared to other blockchains, you know?
When it came to blockchain choice, our guy, CTO, Chief Science Officer, he said, if we don't choose Algorand, I'm walking out. So we had to build an Algorand. But jokes aside, I think the more I get to know Algorand, it's a blockchain that I, at least personally, feel that it's a blockchain that has impact at the core.
So the climate always brings up sketchy discussions. I personally feel, listen, I'm a nerd for the future. I'm a fan of the future. All right. And especially the way he put the domestic climate reporting, at home climate reporting, right? Based off the example that he gave, let's say you swap out your gas stove for an electric. That's a carbon reduction. You can get that back in the form of carbon credits, which can be converted to, you know, your national currency, and now you got some extra money. A lot of people will attack that from the perspective of, oh, they're trying to force me to change my behavior and change my life. If I can get paid to, upgrade my home, I think that's a bit that's a different discussion here. So there are elements to this whole climate financing thing that, you got to walk a fine line on, yeah. But if you're someone like me who has an appreciation for technology, an appreciation for human innovation and the new ideas that people just come up with, then this type of development, this application, this protocol, what they're looking to do is very admirable. It's something that you look at and be like, okay, we're not taking over the planet with this. This isn't going to cause Algorand to pump or whatever you want to call it. But it's a thing where if Algorand goes to another country to attempt to do the same thing that they're doing with URECA, they can use that project success, the results from that project, and then blow this up even bigger. Because outside of that, as you'll learn in this article here from November of last year, this came with a couple more relationships. They touched on Mongolia for a little bit, and basically URECA and the Mongolian Ministry of Environment and Tourism signed an MOU to help Mongolia achieve its climate change targets. So the government of Mongolia, they have lined up with the SDG goals for sustainable development, which comes down from the UN, which they also mention down here in this article as well. At an announcement, there was an announcement at the Algorand Impact Summit, which tied in the announcement with the Mongolian government, as well as the MICE Carbon, a carbon credits tokenization platform built for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. So what I can summarize that for you right there. What they're looking to do is capitalize on the travel and expenses that come along with setting up a consensus or a token 2049, where you have a bunch of people coming from around the world using airplanes, trains, boats, whatever. There's a carbon footprint around that. And they're creating a platform to monetize that carbon footprint. Again, I was born in the 90s and I was raised not to knock anybody's hustle. So let's remove the cynical aspect of this and let's just appreciate it for what it is, guys. This is the future. This is the future. It's technology. It's cool. Let's just leave it at that. If you feel like your freedoms are being infringed upon, then that's on you. Let's circle back, though, to this tokenized metals conversation, because I have a couple of other articles in relation to climate, but I pretty much hit on it. I mean, there's one side of the conversation trying to tap into this 5 trillion, and there's another side of the conversation that is just completely against it. But another conversation that does not have that much issue. We were talking about the tokenization projects. Let's jump back over here to mailed.gold/tokens. Now, going back to Folks Finance, this was the token provider that provides the assets that they trade on their platform, which we saw here, the mailed gold, mailed silver. And when I was fishing through their website, I stumbled upon this here, a couple coming soon tokens. And you scroll down, you'll see platinum and palladium. Palladium, right? Coming soon. 1 token equals 1 gram of platinum, fully redeemable for platinum bullion. 1 token equals 1 gram of palladium, redeemable. Or what? What's the plan here? The reason why this has me so curious, we have to be at the earliest stages of this conversation. And I feel like it's going to be the tokenization of precious metals, real world materials, that kicks off the actual real world assets bull run. RWAs are creating a market. Don't get that twisted. Don't mistake RWAs as just another run-of-the-mill crypto narrative. This is another crypto use case, much like artificial intelligence is being modeled to be, much like crypto payments. The tokenization of these real materials, these precious metals, it's very early. But there are certain countries already in the lead. And wouldn't you know it, one of them is our biggest enemy, according to the news, right? Quote unquote. BRICS nation, Russia, it's the first digital asset deal with palladium. This was back in 2022. Now, what I find to be even more interesting is that we just did an episode yesterday talking about copper tokenization on Stellar. Wouldn't you guys know it? The same company that was tokenizing copper in Russia is the same company here, Nornickel, out of Russia, tokenizing palladium. And much like that situation from yesterday, guys, the more I look, the less I find. 2019, Russian oligarch launching a metal-backed crypto token. Vladimir Protodin, one of Russia's richest people, tells CoinDesk about his plans for a palladium-backed token and tokenized commodities exchange. Didn't have time to dig any deeper into whether or not this platform came into existence, but there's only so much that pops up when you type in tokenized palladium. And then just to bring it on home, I'll show you this article here from the Stellar video. Again, Nickel launches Hyperledger-based tokens backed by nickel and copper. Algorand is in that Hyperledger foundation, along with Stellar, right? But guys, this is literally the very first time I have seen Algorand associated with palladium. And you guys remember, I was trying to zoom in a little bit more, and you guys remember, I was stumped trying to figure out the validity of this connection. Like, we see gold being tokenized. Tokenized gold on the XRP ledger. Let me know. I know you guys know it. I'll set some time aside to discover it. Tokenized copper was new. We haven't heard tokenized silver yet, but there are tokens that are backed by gold and silver, which you can trade on XLM. Gold and silver on Algorand. Now, thanks to one of those partners, Meld, will be able to see tokenized palladium on Algorand. This was in 2022 when this map was created. Things are really starting to pop up now. Copper, XDC, IOTA, Iridium. Now that we're stumbling upon these things, I expect to see something about IOTA. I bring that up really just to hammer it home here. We're entering a new age. And like I said, I truly believe that the real world assets run, that rally is going to be backed by precious metals, raw materials. We were watching another case study this week. I believe it was related to XDC. But they talked about how the tokenization of these precious metals opens up new forms of revenue for institutional investors outside of the reducing of the carbon emissions. There's a lot of money to be made here. There's a lot of money to be made. And I'll wrap with this. If the assets that we've been following for years are the only ones tokenizing these precious metals and real world materials, then as that becomes the norm and the most popular investment channel, then it only makes sense. Algorand, XDC, Stellar, Ripple, that'll be the time. That's when things will start to truly connect. Things will really start popping off, because you got to understand too, currently the applications that run on these assets, they're not mainstream applicable. There are still barriers that need to be addressed, and they are user interface, proper education about blockchain transactions, moving your money around. There's still a lot of that. However, when we're talking real world materials and the tokenization of such, you remove the money part. People are already nervous about, don't touch my money. But you can make my gold even more valuable. Now I'm listening to what you're talking about. You can make my platinum, my copper a little bit more valuable. Oh, now I'm listening to what you're talking about. That's just the way I'm seeing it. So I got my timer back, guys, and it's yelling at me 25 minutes. So we're going to wrap it right here. Again, I've been in this space since 2019, man. Researched over 1,000 digital assets. I created this channel surely to share this information with you, because nobody else is talking about it. And outside of that, I've used a bunch of tools in this crypto space. The 3 that I recommend the most will be linked in the pinned comment. And also, don't forget about the DHN Crypto Starter Kit, man. As you can clearly see, this crypto thing is very diverse. It's very, very wide ranging, and it will drive you crazy. But I made this starter kit to kind of bring you some peace, help you along the way. So with that, y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.